भी नहीं पता कि तुमने इस वीडियो पे क्लिक भी नहीं पता कि तुमने इस वीडियो पे क्लिक
Here are 5 wired earphones that sound better than a pair of AirPods and cost less than 2000 rupees. That's right, audio files and music in
क्या रे हीरो 2 महीने का रेंट किधर है तेरा? ये चप्पल क्या दिख रहा है? इससे मारू क्या तेरे को?
ओ सर, आपके रेंट से ज्यादा एक्सपेंसिव है ये। हाथ लगाने के पैसे देता हूँ मैं।
Are you in play? This allows us to later bring in the scene as a source. So add our camera source. And I already have, ta-da, here's my room. I showed how you add a filter to the camera, but we're not going to do that. We are going to go over to the scenes and we are going to add a filter to the scene. So we have this filter here, this window. We're going to add plus, and you are looking for the image mask. You are going to browse to pick out your circle mask. So mine's a circle mask, whatever you choose, and we're going to apply this. Now, the entire scene has an image mask. And just to avoid distraction, I'm going to turn off my circular picture-in-picture. So let's close this. The beauty of this is that I can now adjust my camera, so it doesn't actually matter the shape, the positioning, the size of your image mask, because I can actually move my camera around. I can resize, maybe if I want to be a little bit smaller.
तारे अब तो गलाव में कहां से कहती है ले आसमां से अब तो दूर दूर कुछ नहीं है हाय रब्बा किस्मत ही बुरी है मुझको दुनिया की नजरों में ना गिरा दो सनम अब तो भूल जाओ जिद को कर दो खत्म तेरे नखरे सुन के बातें चुन के मैं दीवाना हो गया न ऊंचे ऊंचे ख्वाबों के दामन में मैं कैद हो गया कि तारे अब तो गलाव में कहां से कहती है ले आसमां से मेरी जान जाग जाओ अब तुम तो इन तारों की जिद को तो छोड़ो मैं तो थक के गिर अब गया हूँ मना दे तुम्हें अब तो मेरे दिल की आवाज सुन लो कम कर दो सितम तेरे नखरे सुन के बातें चुन के मैं दीवाना हो गया न ऊंचे ऊंचे ख्वाबों के दामन में मैं कैद हो गया सब खत्म हो गया चलो मैं भी अब चल पड़ा सब खत्म हो गया चलो मैं भी अब चल पड़ा मेरी कहानी ऐसी हुई तारे तो सो गए दिन हुआ कि तारे अब तो गलाव में कहां से कहती है ले आसमां से अब तो दूर दूर कुछ नहीं है हाय रब्बा किस्मत ही बुरी है मुझको दुनिया की नजरों में ना गिरा दो सनम अब तो भूल जाओ जिद को कम कि तारे अब तो गलाव में कहां से कहती है ले आसमां से अब तो दूर दूर कुछ नहीं है हाय रब्बा किस्मत ही बुरी है मुझको दुनिया की नजरों में ना गिरा दो सनम अब तो भूल जाओ जिद को कर दो खत्म तेरे नखरे सुन के बातें चुन के मैं दीवाना हो गया न ऊंचे ऊंचे ख्वाबों के दामन कि तारे अब तो गलाव में कहां से कहती है ले आसमां से मेरी जान जाग जाओ अब तुम तो इन तारों की जिद को तो छोड़ो मैं तो थक के गिर अब गया हूँ मना दे तुम्हें अब तो मेरे दिल की आवाज सुन लो कम कर दो सितम तेरे कि तारे अब तो गलाव में कहां से कहती है ले आसमां से अब तो दूर दूर कुछ नहीं तारे अब तो क्या लाऊं मैं कहाँ से कहती है ले आसमां से मेरी जान जाग जाओ अब तुम तो इन तारों की जिद को तो छोड़ो मैं तो थक के गिर अब गया हूँ मना दे तुम्हें अब तो मेरे दिल की आवाज सुन लो कम कर दो सितम तेरे नखरे सुन के बातें चुन के मैं दीवाना हो गया इन ऊंचे ऊंचे ख्वाबों के दामन में मैं कैद हो गया सब खत्म हो गया चलो मैं भी अब चल पड़ा सब खत्म हो गया चलो मैं भी अब चल पड़ा मेरी कहानी ऐसी हुई तारे तो सो गए दिन हुआ
हाँ आपका रेट कितना? बता ये 20,000 ना। हेलो मजे करो आ जा कहाँ से?
You see these shoes? These shoes cost 26 lakhs 60,100 shoes. You see these shoes? These shoes cost. You see these shoes? These shoes cost 26 lakhs 60,100 shoes. These shoes cost 20. You see these shoes? These shoes cost 26,60,104 rupees. That is more than 40 iPhones, 10 or 104 rupees. That is more than 40 iPhones. 104 rupees. That is more than 40 iPhones, 10 Alto cars, and a 2 BHK apartment in the outskirts of Bangalore. iPhones, 10 Alto cars, and a 2 BHK apartment in the outskirts of Bangalore. But wait, it gets crazier. When this shoe came out in 1985, it started a market for resale. It gets crazier. When this shoe came out in 1985, it started a market. Wait, it gets crazier. When this shoe came out in 1985, it started a market for reselling shoes. Crazier. When this shoe came out in 1985, it started a market for reselling shoes, which today is worth $86.8 billion. That is more than the GDP of Sri Lanka. This is because a lot $8 billion. Shoes, which today is worth $86.8 billion. That is more than the GDP of Sri Lanka. This is because a lot more people are obsessed with collecting these shoes, and this demand has shot the price of some of these shoes into lakhs of rupees. But the question here, and this demand has shot the price of some of these shoes into lakhs of rupees. These shoes and this demand Sri Lanka. This is because a lot more people are obsessed with collecting these shoes, and this demand has shot the price of some of these shoes into lakhs of rupees. But the question here is, why are people paying lakhs of rupees to buy second-hand shoes? Let me take you back in time. It all started with basketball. Michael Jordan and Nike basically signed a deal together, and over the next couple of years, Michael Jordan went on to become not just one of the best basketball players in the world, but one of the most popular figures in the world. Taking advantage of this position, Nike and Michael Jordan collaborated to launch the iconic Air Jordan 1s in 1985, and this started the limited edition sneaker market. This was the very first time we saw the concept of exclusivity in sneakers. One of the reasons why people pay ridiculous money for these sneakers is owning a pair of these exclusive sneakers makes them feel like they're a part of an exclusive club that loves Michael Jordan and his style. This Michael Jordan collaboration was just the first. More recently, Nike has also made limited edition sneakers with popular figures like Travis Scott, Kendrick Lamar, Serena Williams, and Adidas paired with Kanye West to create these notorious Yeezys. So back in the 90s, shops started selling these popular figures like Travis Scott, Kendrick Lamar, Serena Williams, and Adidas paired with Kanye West to create these notorious Yeezys. So back in the 90s, shops started selling these rare sneakers, and when the internet came along, not just shops but regular sneaker enthusiasts were beginning to make a business out of reselling shoes on the internet. And when photo sharing platforms were And when the internet came along, not just shops, but regular sneaker enthusiasts were beginning to make a business out of reselling shoes on the internet. And when photo sharing platforms like Instagram came out, the market literally blew up. Which brings me to today, the sneaker culture is trending in India. It's not just because people want to collect cool sneakers, it's much bigger than that. It's almost a $3 billion market in India. And to understand how this happens, we need to first understand the sneaker economy. So the sneaker economy is actually really interesting. It's kind of like a mix of movie ticketing, stock trading, and economy is understand how this happens, we need to first understand the sneaker economy. So the sneaker economy is actually really interesting. It's kind of like a mix of movie ticketing, stock. So the sneaker economy is actually really interesting. It's kind of like a mix of understand the sneaker economy. So the sneaker economy is actually really interesting. It's kind of like a mix of movie ticketing, stock trading, and a little bit like Pokemon card trade. Interesting. It's kind of like a mix of movie ticketing, stock trading, and a little bit like Pokemon. On card trading. Let me explain. Starting with movie ticketing. So when I was a kid, much before the digital age, Bollywood explain. Starting with movie ticketing. So when I was a kid, much before the digital age, Bollywood was literally at its peak. Fans stood in queues, skipped college, and literally camped outside theaters for days to buy tickets for a new SRK movie. And something very similar happens when a limited edition sneaker drops by, let's say, Nike. Sneaker enthusiasts or happens when theaters for days to buy tickets for a new SRK movie, and something very similar happens when a limited edition sneaker drops by, let's say, Nike. Sneaker enthusiasts or sneakerheads pause their lives and wait in line eagerly to buy these limited edition sneakers. This queue today has moved online.
How does Docker help with production quality applications? And how do you build your own Docker file from scratch?
सर जी, ये राशन की दुकान खुलने को कितना टाइम लेगा?
क्या बताएं भैया, पिछले 4 घंटे तो साल हम लोग खड़े हैं।
4 घंटे परिवार के लिए करना पड़ता है।
हाँ, परिवार बहुत जरूरी है।
इसको कौन बुलाया?
और कितना टाइम लगने वाला है ब्रो?
नो ब्रो, मैं खुद पिछले 4 आवर्स से खड़ा हूँ। Just
4 hours करना पड़ता है फैमिली के लिए।
yeah, bro. Can I say culture is my family, you know?
Streetwear.
Yeah.
High pitch, bro.
इसको कौन बुलाया?
But just like in the movie ticket queue, not everyone is buying tickets to watch the movie. Some of them are buying it so they can resell it at a higher price. Economists call this as arbitrage. When you basically buy a product at a low price and resell it at a higher price. The very same thing happens in sneaker markets as well. People buy these limited edition of Nike sneakers and resell this at 3x or even 10x the price. And they're able to do this because just like an SRK movie, there's a lot of hype around the sneakers, which to do this and resell this in sneaker markets as well. People buy these limited edition of Nike sneakers and happens in sneaker markets as well. People buy these limited edition of Nike sneakers and resell this at 3x or even 10x the
ब्लेजर तो ठीक है, लेकिन तुम अपना शर्ट और पैंट का कलर बताएगा तो उसी हिसाब से ना मैच होगा।
these limited edition higher price. The very same thing happens in sneaker markets as well. People buy these limited edition of Nike sneakers and resell this at 3x or even 10x the price. And they're able to do this because just like an SRK movie, there's a lot of hype around the sneakers, which increases the demand and therefore the value of lot of hype around the sneakers, which is able to do this because just like an SRK movie, there's a lot of hype around the sneakers, which increases the demand and therefore the value of the sneakers. Adding to that, these sneakers are also limited edition. So it makes the product scarce, which reduces the supply and again increases the value of the sneaker. Now, I want to touch upon how these sneakers can actually be an investment. The legendary investor Warren Buffett once said that if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. He was speaking, you don't find a way to actually be an investment. The legendary investor Warren Buffett once said that if you don't find can actually be an investment. The legendary investor Warren Buffett once said that if you don't find can actually be an investment. The legendary investor Warren Buffett once said that if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. He was speaking about investing in appreciating assets like stocks, gold, and today it can even be sneakers. According to Business Insider, in 2011, if you had invested 9,000 rupees on these Nike Max sneakers with a limited edition plutonium case, your investment would have grown 5,530% in value to 4,95,000 on the resale market, which is literally way more than the Nifty index. This appreciating value of sneakers has turned them into value. Investment would have grown 5,530% case. Your investment would have grown 5,530% in value to 4,95,530% in value to 4,95,000 on the resale market, which is literally way more than the Nifty index. This appreciating value of sneakers has turned them into an asset class much like gold, real estate or stocks. People buy it to sell or hold it for a long time. Now, what are the factors that makes these second-hand shoes so expensive to buy? Watch this to understand what are the major factors affecting the price of the shoe.
Hi.
Yeah, ये same shoes MC Stan ने पहना था ना?
Exactly. Next comes is rarity. You can see this was worn by Michael Jordan last. Next comes availability. This one is only available in Delhi.
बैंगलोर में आएगा क्या?
तेरे को बोला ना, बैंगलोर में नहीं मिलेगा, सिर्फ दिल्ली. Next is shipping. You can get your shoe within 24 hours or within a week depending upon your city. And finally, we have legitimacy. छोड़ो, ये वाला फेक है, 150 रुपया देगा. ये वाला रियल है, इसको 15,000 बोल दे.
This is Vedant Lamba, the founder of Main Street TV, one of
ये वाला फेक है, 150 रुपया देगा. ये वाला रियल है, इसको 15,000 बोल दे.
This is Vedant Lamba, the founder of
ये वाला रियल है, इसको 15,000 बोल दे.
This is Vedant Lamba, the founder of Main Street TV.
ये वाला रियल है, इसको 15,000 बोल दे.
This is Vedant Lamba, the founder of Main Street TV, one of India's largest reselling platforms. He gave us some crazy insights on the reselling ecosystem.
Reselling sneakers is a little bit like trading. Stock market, but it's also a little bit like trading Pokemon cards. Not every sneaker you pick up will be like a holographic Charizard or something super rare. I don't know that space very well, but you get what I'm saying. General idea is that this space, while completely legal, is not exactly regulated. So there's a lot of risks involved when you're participating and engaging in the area. You want to be really careful. So there's idea is that this space, while completely legal, is not exactly regulated. So there's a lot of risks involved when you're participating and engaging in the area. You want to be really careful and do your research. A good way to go about that is to be aware of all of the factors and all of the players involved in the space. I'm going to run you through a few of them really quickly. So at the top of everything, you have retailers. When Nike sells you a shoe directly or they work with stores like Veg, Non-Veg, that's a retailer. You're getting the shoe directly from the brand. Super safe. A few of them ad is to be engaging in the area. You want to be really careful and do your research. A good way to go about that is to be aware of all of the factors and all of the players involved in the space. I'm going to run you through a few of them really quickly. So at the top of everything, you have retailers. When Nike sells you a shoe directly or they work with stores like Veg, Non-Veg, that's a retailer. You're getting the shoe directly from the brand. Super safe, but hard to get your items on shoes. Pricing is of retailers. When Nike sells you a shoe directly or they work with stores like Veg, Non-Veg, that's a retailer. You're getting the shoe directly from the brand. Super safe, but hard to get your items on shoes. Pricing is excellent, 100% legitimate. You get the picture. Next up, you have something known as consumer resellers. This is people who sort of got lucky getting an expensive shoe at the retail price and just want to flip it for a quick profit because they don't want to keep it. Now, consumer resellers will always give you good prices, but of course, they have no options, aren't easy to find them, it's a complicated space. And then there's a bunch of other factors that play in here. You could very well get scammed. There's no reputation involved. After consumers, you'll find sort of active resellers, people who are buying and selling for a living on WhatsApp groups, sometimes on Instagram pages. Now, variety increases here, but it's not too much. Pricing will go up slightly, but not too much. Speed will be better than when you're shopping from like a consumer because, it's not his main job, it's this guy's main job. But now legitimacy, easy to get scammed in this space. Post this, you have something known as buy-sell trade stores. Stores that are usually physical brick-and-mortar locations that will always be buying inventory from active resellers, consumer sellers, try their luck at retailers. Spots like this, wider variety, pricing is decent, speed is okay, they're not usually well adept online and such, and chances of fakes significantly lower. Next up, you have consignment stores. Now, these stores usually have way wider variety because they're not committed to investing capital in making purchases of the product. They will take on whatever a reseller wants to sell with. Them and listed for a commission on tops. These guys will have way more inventory. They usually were a better structured. Their legitimacy them and listed for a commission on tops. These guys will have way more inventory. They usually were a better structured. Their legitimacy them and listed for a commission on tops. These guys will have way inventory, they usually were better structured, their legitimacy.
Hello guys, you have requested me to show how exactly I've created these text boxes. It's a scene from my latest explainer, you can check it out if you haven't seen it yet. This is how the scenes look in After Effects. You see all the text boxes are shifted against each other in time so that they appear one after another. If we go to one of the orange pre-comps, you'll see it consists of 3 layers, the text itself and 2 shape layers. Let's recreate the animation. Type path in a search box and place the keyframe without changing anything. Now we have fixed the final position of our element, and the simple rule of this technique is that we go backwards. Every time we change anything, we go a few frames back. I want my shape to appear as a circle, which grows in size, and then it should grow to the right and turn into this nice rectangle with rounded corners. How do I do that if I like a circle? So I cut off, select other values all over again. Looking at text left is only displayed. The background shape is the same exact shape, only slightly displaced.
Preview. 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 Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
pretty strong. And then last of all, sort of the widest variety of everything available is usually trading platforms. Spots where there's no physical inventory, they're usually online based, and they list anything for anybody. The one caveat being that they will authenticate it and verify it before sending it over to you. Shipping timelines is usually tight here. Pricing is usually best in the market aside from say like from a consumer directly. It's not the best experience because of how much time it'll involve. The chances of that item, you're waiting for it and the item still being fake. Long story short, there's these 6 different players. Each of them have their own factors, their own pros and cons, and you want to evaluate everything before taking your decision. The more research you put into it, the higher are your chances of satisfaction. Net, that's sort of what the sneaker resale ecosystem looks like. And if you're trying to buy some shoes conveniently, you should go shop at Main Street. See you.
In India, brands like Main Street, Superkick, and Veg Non-Veg have built a reputation for dealing. In India, brands like Main Street, Superkick, and Veg Non-Veg have built a reputation for dealing authentic sneakers over many. Superkick and Veg Non-Veg have built a reputation for dealing authentic sneakers over many. Superkick and Veg Non-Veg have built a reputation for dealing authentic sneakers over Main Street, Superkick, and Veg Non-Veg have
shop at Main Street. See you.
In India, brands like Main Street, Superkick, and Veg Non-Veg have built a reputation for dealing authentic sneakers over many years. So sneakerheads genuinely trust them. Dealing authentic sneakers over many years. So sneakerheads genuinely trust them, unlike that dude you met at a party that one time. Today, the sneaker fever has escalated with the rise of social media platforms like YouTube and Instagram. Today, the sneaker fever has escalated with the rise of social media platforms like YouTube and Instagram. Sneaker reselling is almost a $90 billion market and is predicted to grow to 100 billion very soon. Now you might think, why are Nike, Adidas, and other brands even allowing this? They can just kill the reselling market by making more shoes. The answer to that is this entire ecosystem is free marketing for Nike, and it's more value to the brand, so it's in their best interest to continue to support them. Anyway, that is all about sneakers. If you'd like to learn more about business and economics, check out some of our other videos and subscribe.
Running a business isn't easy. So many decisions, tons of paperwork, but having the right tools can help save time. Ankur, can you take a quick look? Editing.
Every single day, you wake up and make decisions. 34,000 decisions. What to wear, what to eat, what to buy, and each of these choices tell a story. Your story. But what if I told you that these choices aren't really yours? That your wants are carefully planted in you by marketing experts? Don't believe me? Are carefully planted in you by marketing experts? Don't believe me? Believe me? Experts? Don't believe me?
उड़ो गगन रहो मगन.
You know, one of the most intimate portraits of a nation is seen through the lens of consumerism.
Glucose D, rich in glucose to give.
This relentless pursuit of trying to purchase happiness tells the story of a nation and the desires that drive its people. For more than 40 years after independence, India consumed like it was at war. And in a way, we were. A war against scarcity. We had one TV channel, 4 to 5 car models, and one dream: survival. Your grandparents lived on these ration cards. Why? Because up until 80s, buying wasn't a choice, it was a privilege. See, back in the 60s, India's total consumer spending was around 2.7 lakh crores. Spending on leisure, India's total consumer spending was around 2.7 lakh crores. Spending India's total consumer spending was around 2.7 lakh crores. India's total consumer spending was around 2.7 lakh crores. Spending on leisure and luxury wasn't even considered a category analysts bothered to track. The concept itself was almost non-existent. That was our story. Concept and luxury consumer spending was around 2.7 lakh crores. Spending on leisure and luxury wasn't even considered a category analysts bothered to track. The concept itself was almost non-existent. That was our story. But today, consumer spending has skyrocketed to over 190 lakh crores. Today, consumer spending has skyrocketed to over 100 our story. But today, consumer spending has that was our story. But today, consumer spending has skyrocketed to over 190 lakh crores. And luxury and leisure has skyrocketed to over 190 lakh crores. And consumer spending has skyrocketed to over 190 lakh crores. Today, consumer spending has skyrocketed. That was our story. But today, consumer spending has skyrocketed to over 190 lakh crores. And consumer spending has skyrocketed to over 190 lakh crores. And luxury and leisure accounts for 1/4 of it. 190 lakh crores. And luxury and leisure accounts for 1/4 of it. I mean, clearly we are witnessing a cultural transformation. This new generation isn't just working to pay bills or save for the future. They're chasing. This new generation isn't just. I mean, clearly we are witnessing a cultural transformation. This new generation isn't just working to pay bills or save for the future. They're chasing experiences. They're traveling, they're living in the moment and completely reimagining what happiness, success, or even being content means in modern India. Our story is being rewritten right before our eyes. But there's a twist. Something feels off about this portrait. An invisible playbook of sorts filled with intricate tricks is hijacking this portrait of our nation. Rather than our desires, consumerism is instead telling the story of which brands have the best tricks, the sharpest. Consumerism is instead telling the story of which brands have the best tricks, the sharpest algorithms, and the most persuasive psychology. This needs to be fixed, and I am going to show you how. We're going to deep dive into how these marketing experts are quietly shaping our identities for us. But first, I'm going to introduce you to 4 characters from 4 different classes. Each with a unique relationship with money. I want you to pay close attention and try to tune in to the psychology behind their spending habits.
दूसरा टेप है क्या इसका एडेसिव? Hello, my name is Seshing. I am 35 years old. Hi, I am Ruchir. मेरा नाम दिन. Hello, my name is Seshing. I am 35 years old. Hi, I'm Ruchir. मेरा नाम दिनेश है.
This is Anisha. I'm the founder and CEO of Neurolux Sleep Pods.
10वीं तक मैंने पढ़ाई करी है. Post grad from IIM Ahmedabad and I work as a team manager at Pragati Sales Private Limited company. पास की एक जगह पे मैं दिहाड़ी पे काम करता हूँ.
We are a unicorn startup.
With ROI measurement made easy, I can hire the right candidates faster with LinkedIn.
You mean like my hobbies? छुट्टी जब मिलती है तो दोस्तों के साथ कभी भी गली में क्रिकेट खेल लेता हूँ.
Cryo chamber therapy.
One thing I enjoy is going on a long drive with my wife and kids, playing keyboard, and sometimes I do voice acting.
I love Pilates.
Music cassettes. कोई गाड़ी निकाल स्प्लेंडर निकाल के घूमने चले आते हैं.
I go for skiing.
Well, I like to call my friends at my house, hosting house parties, mountains, hiking.
As a hotel manager, I have to work with a lot of clients. For me, it's really important to look different from everyone else. I have to stand out.
One time I bought a Nike shoes because my son wanted one because all his friends had one. One thing that he didn't know that I bought a fake one for him. And now he's all happy and satisfied. I don't have any preferences. Like I buy everything that everybody else buys. पास वाले दुकान पे पिंकू भैया बैठते हैं. अब उनके वहाँ पे जो भी सस्ते में और अच्छा और जस्ट लगे कि लंबा चलेगा वो हम ले लेते हैं.
Most of my wardrobe is focused on sustainability, and I am not into fast fashion at all, so I make sure I pick clothes that are ethically sourced.
So what did you notice? When it comes to Indian consumers, our richest and poorest classes have something in common. They both make very deliberate choices. Look at Dinesh and Anisha. They both don't indulge in excess, both dodge mainstream brands and stick to minimalism. But while Dinesh does it because he has to, Anisha does it because she wants to. Both of them make incredibly conscious decisions. One because his needs force his hand, and the other because she sees right through the illusion. But the middle classes, where most of us are, now that's where things get really interesting. Sher Singh and Ruchir are essentially the dream customers for nearly 90% of brands. Sher Singh leans towards Indian brands, focusing on mirroring his peers in order to fit in with the crowd. He pursues inclusivity, whereas Ruchir, armed with more wealth and a younger outlook, chases exclusivity. His purchasing decisions are an effort to stand out from the crowd. And who do you think is on the other side watching all of this? Brands, of course. Now that we all know that it's these middle-class identities that are most at risk of being hijacked, let's flip the script. Stop thinking that are most at risk of being hijacked. Let's flip the script. Stop thinking like buyers and start thinking like the sellers, the brands. Let me show you exactly how they do it. And after learning these, you will never look at your purchases the same way again.
Google is able to collect an amount of information about its users that would even make the NSA blush.
We can use eye tracking analysis to show where you're looking at and therefore examines your visual attention.
Facebook admits it knew about data harvesting for at least 2 years.
It was my mistake.
The whole economic world is bracing for the next big revolution.
I think we're in an era where creativity, technology, and data will be really exciting.
Picture this. You're on a cab after a hectic day at work. As the city blurs past your window, a thought pops in your head. I should order Domino's tonight. Feels like a random craving, right? Your idea, your choice. But what if I told you that craving wasn't so random? See, weeks earlier, Domino's had been quietly weaving itself into your neural network. Those subtle ads about the perfect way to unwind, that casual mention on your favorite podcast.
Don't talk to me like I haven't had Domino's recently.
They weren't just background noise, they were seeds planted deep in your mind. Your brain filed it all away, building tiny neural pathways that link Domino's with unwinding, with reward. Tiny neural pathways deep in your mind. Your brain filed it all away, building tiny neural pathways that link Domino's with unwinding, with reward, with you. By the time that craving hit, it wasn't really a choice, it was a reflex. Then you reach home and you want to cozy up and watch a comforting film. Except it's too late. But when you switch on the TV,
do you know what will happen if you read one book every week? Let me share some 3.
all of a sudden something shifts. Now you're committed to finding something to watch. Fatigued after an overwhelming number of options, you settle on a film with a thumbnail of a couple deeply locked in an intimate stare. It feels like a string of decisions that feel very personal to you, except this invisible hands tugging at those very strings. You know that iconic Netflix sound? Here's a fun fact about it. So Netflix initially wanted to go with a goat's bleat, playfully mocking MGM's roaring lion. But instead, they went scientific. Their VP, Todd Yellen, and Oscar-winning sound designer Lon Bender crafted a unique sound by mixing a wedding ring staff, a slowed-down anvil, and even a reverse electric guitar. Why? Because they were programming a trigger just like Pavlov conditioned his dog. Because they were programming a trigger just like Pavlov conditioned his dogs to expect food and salivate at the sound of a bell. This tudum, it triggers your brain into recalling every cozy night in, every thrilling plot twist, and every moment of escape and comfort. And all of that adds up to you committing to their product. And the overwhelming grid of options, that is not a bug, it's a feature. You know, they want you to feel fatigued because when you're tired, you're more likely to settle. Even those thumbnails aren't random either. Netflix is constantly testing out personalized thumbnails just for you. You know, once the platform became aware of your affinity for close-up facial expressions, they used that to get you to click on that film you didn't know you wanted to watch. So there you are. Pizza ordered, movie picked, thinking you made two separate personal choices. But what really happened was a carefully orchestrated dance of a trick they call sensory marketing. As you can see, marketing strategies today have infiltrated your lives pretty cleverly, right? You know, there are endless ways these techniques can be used to shape people's behaviors. But here's the thing. They're not really weapons. We should look at them like tools. See, in an age where every brand is doing everything possible for a slice of our attention, trying to influence our choices through all means, there's a massive demand for people who truly understand how to stand out from the noise. You know, whether you dream of launching your own startup, building a personal brand, or joining a marketing team at a major company, knowing how to launch a new creating understanding. The question is, how do you learn to do it well? It's not by just bombarding people with ads, which most marketers do, but by genuinely, not by just bombarding people with ads, which most marketers do, but by genuinely connecting with them with ads, which most marketers do, but by genuinely connecting with them, understanding consumer psychology and choices better, shaping their decisions, and creating memorable experiences that add real value. That is why I want to share with you guys the access to the entire playbook. If you've been watching and thinking, how do I get in on this? Pay attention. Masters Union has launched a new undergraduate program in psychology and marketing. This unique 4-year program is actually India's first to blend behavioral science with modern marketing strategies. Here, you don't just learn about marketing in isolation, you actually dive deeper with a core understanding of consumer psychology, and you also practice it. We're talking hands-on stuff like redesigning restaurant menus using neuromarketing principles and building strategies for actual D2C brands. The best part? You are learning this from the people who do this for a living. CMOs from Zomato, Epigamia, and both teach alongside professors from Cornell and Stanford and Kellogg. You will be diving into everything from neuromarketing to AI, from cognitive psychology to practical skills like graphic design and filmmaking. By the way, you also get a chance to work. They send you to work with companies like BlueSmart and Chayos, plus they give you opportunities to study in the US, Italy, or Singapore. Their Gurgaon campus is already seeing graduates land jobs at places like Zerodha, Cred, and Aether. If you're interested in being someone who shapes how brands connect with people, check out the link in the description to learn more about Masters Union and their program. Who knows, maybe someday we'll break down one of your marketing campaigns. Okay, so we know that brands have a playbook of tricks. We already saw how Netflix and Domino's use sensory marketing, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. What I'm about to show you will reveal just how deeply marketing and advertising has distorted the reality around us. Let's go back to one of our characters, Sher Singh. He's simply heading to the mall for a movie and some light shopping. Go back to one of our characters, Sher Singh. He's simply heading to the mall for a movie and some light shopping. Let's play a game. We are going to try and identify all the marketing traps waiting for him along the way. Sher Singh has a gap in his schedule and he decides to fill it with the latest movie starring superstar Allu Arjun, who's his favorite actor. But after a while of running around the mall trying to figure out its layout, he's still struggling to get to his destination. You know, this is actually by design. It's called Crew and Transfer, where designers deliberately make a confusing labyrinthian layout for you to navigate. Why? Because the more you move, the higher the chances you'll bump into a shop that catches your eye. In Sher Singh's case, it's clearly worked. So in his quick detour, Sher Singh spots a pair of khaki trousers. He is smitten by it, but for him, the price is the deal breaker. So he keeps browsing until he finds something that fits his budget. He moves on to another identical khaki pant, which has a price tag of 799 rupees. Now, having come across one that's a rupee cheaper, he's somehow suddenly a little more likely to purchase it. It's basically caused by a cognitive bias called the left digit effect. You see, our brain, it reads numbers from left to right. So we place more weightage to the first digit we see, making 799 feel significantly lesser than 800 rupees. But still, Sher Singh isn't fully convinced, so he keeps browsing for a better find. This time though, he sees a khaki pant which has a price tag with a striked out 1200 with 799 as the price. And he gets this one. A steal deal with a 30% discount. This is what they call strike-through pricing. You know, we have a very famous classic Indian folklore which explains this cognitive bias. Remember when Arjuna was challenged to make a line appear smaller without altering it? What did he do? He simply drew a longer line beside it. After picking up his new pants and finally walking past all the distractions, Sher Singh reaches the theatre. With a few minutes to spare before the movie starts, he decides to grab some popcorn. Only problem is, what size tub to get? As soon as he sees the pricing, and I'm sure you can relate to this, the tub to get. As soon as he sees the price, grab some popcorn. Only problem is, what size tub to get? As soon as he sees the pricing, and I'm sure you can relate to this, the mental math kicks off in his head. A regular 90-gram tub costs 270 rupees. The median popcorn, which is twice the size at 180 grams, is only 70 rupees more. Now Sher Singh wants to maximize the value for his money, so he feels compelled to spend that extra 70 rupees on the medium tub. Thinking he's outsmarted the system, he settles in to enjoy his movie. In reality, he's fallen for a trick called decoy pricing, a clever little inverse of the previous trick that trapped him. What you do here is, you put a decoy offer that is less appealing to make the more expensive option seem more valuable. Well, if only Sher Singh knew this. Nearly wrapping up his day, he decides to tick off one last errand with a quick stop at the grocery store. He doesn't know it yet, but Sher Singh is about to step into a highly calibrated space designed to burrow into his brain and steer his choices. As soon as he enters the store, he's greeted by a flood of inviting aromas. The freshest produce sits right at the entrance along with the aromatic bakery, meant to create an enticing atmosphere. This is sensory priming in action, a hotbed of sensory triggers designed to put sensory priming in action, a hotbed enticing atmosphere. This is sensory priming in action, a hotbed of sensory triggers designed to put you in a good mood. There's also moral licensing at play, meaning once you've grabbed a few healthy items, you're more likely to indulge in less healthy products later. But these tricks don't just end there. Studies have shown that when you're cold, you tend to spend about 18% more, and that a hint of a strong scent can boost customer satisfaction by 20%. Sher Singh is right in the thick of it, all while simply trying to buy some milk. And wait, here is the most interesting trick. Grocery stores deliberately place essentials like milk at the far end of the store. What this does is, this forces you to wander through aisles and be stimulated by 300 plus products vying for your attention. And even within that store, there are many more traps. Did you know, for brands to place their products on the middle shelves, right at the eye level, they need to pay the stores a premium? This is because they're 25% more likely to be bought than items elsewhere. Meanwhile, placement for the bottom shelves are much cheaper because people are less likely to spot those products. Having purchased way more than he intended to, Sher Singh finally reaches the checkout. The line is long and his impatience starts to grow. That's when the nearby display of colorful souvenirs and candy strikes his interest. Suddenly, he's tempted to grab one of these little trinkets. This is known as parasite placement. You see, your brain is a dopamine-seeking machine, and when you're waiting in the line impatiently, you're especially vulnerable, making it more likely that your brain will trick you into purchasing these tiny hits of dopamine, just like Sher Singh does. Happy with himself, Sher Singh reaches home. He starts to unpack all the items onto the table. The clarity that he spent way more than he should have dawns on him. And suddenly, the horror kicks in. He's forgotten about the one product he was supposed to actually buy. A simple little trip to the mall turns out to be a battlefield for your brain. And all these marketing tricks we've seen fall under what's known as neuromarketing, where neuroscience, behavioral psychology, and marketing work in unison to hack your brain chemistry. Now, if you think that such tricks are only found in shopping environments, I want you to take a look around your own house. Scan through all your recent purchases and see whether or not any of your decisions were influenced by these tactics. Or better yet, let's take a short little trip around Ruchir's house and see how many of his recent buys were pre-planned during the brainstorming session of a marketing team.
I have 12 emails, 30 messages, and a proposal due by 10. How am I already underwater?
I'm in the same boat.
Ruchir has just woken up and he's got a big day ahead. It's his partner's birthday after all. He starts off the day with his usual routine, walks to the bathroom, picks up his brush and puts a hefty amount of toothpaste. Now if you ask any dentist, they'd say that a pea amount is more than enough. But Ruchir, like so many others, has been trained to do things differently. Do you remember those Colgate ads that sneakily show a big dollop of toothpaste on your brush? That's their attempt at subliminal conditioning, where they indirectly try to educate you with what they want you to do, which in this case is to use up the entire tube as soon as possible. If all the tricks we have covered so far were about hacking your brain's hardware, what follows is all about reprogramming your mind's software. So like I said, Ruchir has a big day ahead. He's about to surprise his partner with a proposal. So he picks up Old Spice, a scent gifted to him by her. You see, sometimes brands don't even target their customers. Look at all the Old Spice commercials, for example.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now
Notice something? They're not talking to men at all.
on a boat with the man, your man could smell it.
They are talking to women about their men. This is called proxy targeting. From Gillette to Wildstone to Huggies dad-friendly diapers, it's everywhere. Since this was an auspicious day for Ruchir, he picks up a box of chocolates from Cadbury. Despite her favorite sweets being a peda, what ran through his mind was,
Kuch meetha ho jaye.
and then he gets to the most important thing, a beautiful diamond ring that he spent 3 months of his salary on. What he doesn't realize is that his decisions have been shaped by decades of brilliant marketing. Before 1940s, diamond rings weren't even a tradition for engagements. Then the De Beers Group, a corporation specializing in diamond mining, launched their A Diamond is Forever campaign. They invented the idea that a diamond ring was a testament of true love and that a wedding ring should cost 3 months of your salary. And just like that, it led to diamonds becoming the ultimate symbol of love. This is called myth building, a yarn of true lies that can imbue itself into a culture and reshape our choices. And now Ruchir starts to get dressed. And to look his best, he goes through clothes by some of the fancier international brands. Alan Solly, Van Heusen, Peter England, Louis Philippe, Monte Carlo. What he hasn't figured out yet is that these international brands are all actually Indian. When Indian companies learned that a large portion of the population were aspirational and equated foreign with luxury, they just used foreign names for their branding. A clever little reframing to sell the same product with the illusion of exclusivity. But wait, it gets more interesting. Do you remember the quintessentially Indian brand, Bata? The one that probably made your school shoes? It's actually a brand from Czech Republic. They just wanted you to feel inclusivity, so they made their identity feel local. And it's not just them. Even those household staples you thought were born and bred in India, Horlicks, Lifebuoy, Maggi, Vicks, all have foreign roots. In the end, Ruchir settles for his favorite pair of Nike sneakers. But did you know Nike's iconic slogan, "Just Do It," was actually inspired by the last words of a convicted criminal? They just changed the context entirely because Nike learned that so many people like Ruchir weren't purchasing sports shoes as they couldn't associate themselves with athletes but still aspired to. So they didn't sell shoes, they sold permission. Permission to think of yourself as an athlete regardless of who you were. One little slogan turned self-doubt into a battle cry and made billions in revenue. Nike's campaign reflects the tactic of emotional engineering, where brands tap into your emotional voids and satiate it with products. And with that, Ruchir is all set, except... Do you know how many ads a person sees in a day? Take a guess right now. I'll reveal it in a minute, but I bet your guess wouldn't even be close. See, one of the issues with consumerism is that it links happiness to consumption, which can actually be a recipe for dissatisfaction. By placing buying at the center of daily life, you're allowing corporations to treat marketing as a weapon and define what happiness means to you. And to answer the previous question, an average person is likely to come across anywhere between 6,000 to 10,000 advertisements every single day. Was your guess close? Let me share some more stats with you. You know, India spent around 145,000 crore rupees just to show you more and more ads last year. That's up 15.5% from the year before. And consumer spending? It hit around 2.4 trillion in just a quarter of the year. That's a number I can't even wrap my head around. All of this seems to be creating this constant, never-ending feeling that we need more. See, one thing has become very clear. Brands aren't just getting better at selling us products, they're getting better at programming who we are. But here's the thing about programming. Once you understand the code, you can't unsee it. And now all of you understand it because you've seen this video. Knowledge is power. And right now, there are many activists, economists that are pushing back, tech watchdogs that are exposing dark patterns, regular people who are waking up to these manipulation tactics. But the real change starts with you. So I want you guys to try something, okay? For the next week, track every single purchase you make, and every time you're buying something, ask yourself, is this my
Stop. Take a breath. Stop. Take a breath. You just consumed 50 cuts in 5 seconds, and I have been doing this in and out for 5 fucking years. And guess what? Your brain is fried because of it. Welcome to the dark side of editing. Every second, your brain is trained like a lab rat. The faster the edit, the more your brain craves for them. And before you know it, boom. You can't even hold a conversation without checking the phone 10 times. But why does this happen? And how the without checking the phone 10 times. But why does this happen? And how the hell editors like me play a part in making it worse? Let's talk. Your brain is built for efficiency. It's like a surviving machine. So when you watch a normal paced content, it feels like eating a home cooked meal. Slow, rich, and satisfying. But when you watch overstimulating, hyper-edited content, it's exactly like injecting caffeine straight into your veins, and boom, instant dopamine. Ever feel like you can't enjoy a slow movie anymore? That's because your brain has been rewired to the next cut, the next sound effects, the next dopamine hit, and we editors know that, and we exploit it. Think your favorite creator just happened to be engaging. Nah, it's math.
In this video, you will find out why it cost $250,000. To simulate going to space.
Look at this. Every 2-3 seconds, there's a cut. Every 5 seconds, a sound effect. And guess what? Every time your brain starts to lose interest, bam, a new transition, a zoom in, a text pop-up. This isn't editing. This is manipulation. A zoom in. Every time your brain starts to lose interest, bam, a new transition, a zoom in, a text pop-up. This isn't editing. This is manipulation. This is why you can't stop watching. Your brain is being tricked. This is why you can't stop watching. Your brain is being tricked into thinking something important is always happening. But in reality, it's just a guy talking. Editing does something weird to time. You just sit for an hour to edit, and then suddenly you are 22. And for what? A 1 second animation in After Effects, a micro adjustment that no one will ever know. And for what? A 1 second animation in After Effects, a micro adjustment that no one will ever notice other than me. So what is the price of all of this? Your attention span is dying. You can't focus on books, conversations feels boring, and even movies feels too slow. Your brain is shut from short hyperdrive. But here's the question. Can you fix it? Can you train and trick your brain to focus again like a kid? The answer is yes. but it won't be easy. That's none of your fault. This is what modern editing has done to you. Try this. Next time you watch a movie, notice the cut. Count every cut. Be aware of every cut, every sound effect. Once you see the manipulation, you stop being controlled by it. Or don't. Keep scrolling. And don't be surprised when a 10-minute conversation feels like eternity. Stop. Take a breath. You just consumed 50 cuts in 5 seconds, and I have been doing this in and out. Just consumed 50 cuts in 5 seconds, and I have been doing this in and out for 5 fucking years. And guess what? Your brain is fried because of it. Welcome to the dark side of editing.
Guys, if you can see, अगर मुझे तुम्हें मेरी आवाज आ रही है तो ये जो वीडियो है मैंने बनाई है. This video has been made by me and 14K views. I'm proud of this. Really.
Only 29 rupees. 6 days Vedic Math Summer Camp. Don't calculate in a slow way. Enroll course and master top speed method.
Man, the founders of this company are really amazing. They are more like bhaiyas and didis to me than sir. Hmm. TBS Insights के वीडियोस भी बहुत अच्छे होते हैं. इसका एडिटर कोई तो था. I don't remember. इसके वीडियो में आ रहा है deviation sites.
Look at these three bars. Which of them has the highest quantity?
Views नहीं आते लेकिन yeah. They're just starting out.
Take a look at these three bars. Which of them has the highest quantity and which do you think has the lowest quantity? Take a guess. Well, one here has the highest quantity and 3 has the least quantity. A lot of the time, it's almost impossible for us to notice the difference in size unless you buy 2 products manufactured in 2 different years and compare them at the same time. But such tactics shouldn't really work, but somehow they do.
AVTV is everywhere. Do you know they don't just grow their channel but multiple other channels too? Zerodha, Grow Quick, Nurtrip, many others. AVTV has a proven formula. AI avatars, rapid transitions and endless B-rolls. And they're applying the same formula to all these brands too under the company YAS, which is YouTube as a service. And when I say proven formula, I really mean proven. Just look at these 2 pages. Grow Quick's page, 8 months old, has 300k followers on Instagram and 102 on YouTube. Nurtrip, 6 months old, 190k on Instagram, not so much yet on YouTube. Now the question is, why are these big companies trusting YAS to handle their entire page end to end? Because they've mastered the art of making content, not just with AVTV but with multiple channels they run between Achina and Varun Maya. What a content! News lately, it's been seeming like the world is going through crisis after crisis.
As long as this war drags on, the world economy will suffer.
There is panic in the air, hopelessness all around us, and it's literally been feeling like an endless season of despair.
The infectious disease could be transmitted to animals via human-led.
But in the middle of all this tragedy, I found a time machine that showed me a glimpse into what the future could actually look like. So Varun and I got special access to the Museum of the Future, and we wanted to share what we saw with all of you. So today I am going to take you on a tour to the world's most beautiful building. This 7-story, 3,200 square foot building is a true engineering marvel. It has no columns to support this massive structure. It's an absolutely pillarless building. It relies on a network of 2,400 steel tubes that intersect diagonally. What you see outside are 1,024 stainless steel panels that adorn the building's exterior with words of hope inscribed in Arabic calligraphy. Together, this calligraphy and the building's unconventional shape and structure have made this one of the most difficult construction projects ever done. Every single thing inside this museum is futuristic and leaves you in awe of technology and its wonders. Do you remember these robots that we watched in shows like Richie Rich and Dexter's Lab? These robots are soon going to become our next door reality. Like, look at this robot. It is designed to replicate the work of a human coffee server. And this robot is just on the outside of the experience. If you want to know what's inside the museum, follow me. So we started out with a spaceship which took us into a space station 50 years into the future. When I looked
Just nuke them.
Joe, we have a problem!
Solution is
into the system, the demand for the goods. Let me tell you a story.
Printer. You sure this will work?
What can possibly go wrong?
You saw that? The flow of money is like a... You saw that? The flow of money is like a tap. Let me tell you a story. In 2020, the world was hit with a pandemic, and because of that, we went into a lockdown and a lot of businesses were actually losing money. Now, the US government actually opened the tap and printed a lot of money and pumped it into the system to revive the economy and boost spending. Now, the problem with that is when trillions of dollars are pumped into the system, the demand for the goods are increasing, but the supply remains the same. Because of that, inflation starts going up, and when inflation goes up, your common household items start getting very expensive and your lower income groups start getting affected the most. You want to see how printing money in the US affects the lower income group in India? Watch this.
कैसी हिमा शीरिन तुम्हें
Yeah.